join with you guys today. It's a real honor. He and I connected, gosh, a couple years ago, if I remember correctly, through social media, and we've developed a friendship from a distance. I'm here in Atlanta, Georgia, and we've never actually met in person. We met through another Zoom meeting like this a year or two ago, I think, but we've talked on the phone, we've traded text messages, social media messages, emails, and so I just appreciate the opportunity to be with the Elsey team today. It's a real honor. Certainly want to thank Christy and anyone else who was involved in helping to put this together. So maybe just a little bit of background. I don't want to take too much time on this, but since we're really strangers, at least I am to you guys, been in Atlanta now for about 27 years, born and raised in Louisiana. And even though I've been in Atlanta for all these years, I still can't be a Falcons fan or a UGA fan. I got to pull for LSU and the New Orleans Saints. So don't hate me if you don't like those teams, but it's just, it runs deep in our family. Married, I got two great adult kids, a son, his wife, and their three amazing kids. And then my daughter, her husband, and amazing husband. And they got two wonderful, amazing kids. So they all live close by, and we get to see each other frequently. So grateful for that. I'll tell you, one of the things that I never saw coming a few years ago is that I never dreamed that I would be married to a grandmother. I just never saw that coming. Now, look, this is so weird. I can see some of you smiling, but when you don't hear any laughter, you're thinking, I don't know that they got that or not. So anyway, I'll kind of move on. But Missy and I have been married for 36 years. Some of you may know this already, but I am a follower of Christ. You might say a Christian. That's certainly appropriate as well. I have the wonderful privilege of pastoring a great church here in the Atlanta area called Life Church. It's located in Smyrna, which is northwest part of Atlanta. And while my faith has certainly helped to form and frame my life, it's not the only thing that influences me, but it certainly is as a significant part of my life. But I have the wonderful opportunity of speaking outside of our church and outside of church settings and fairly often. And I'm grateful for those. And I always want to be mindful and respectful of the fact that everyone doesn't share my faith. And I really do respect that. So I just want to kind of maybe set you at ease today. If you hearing that I'm a follower of Christ and a pastor maybe makes you a little bit uncomfortable, I want you to know that I've prepared some things to share today that are not preachy. I'm not going to sing and I'm not going to receive an offering. So just be at ease today. This is just some friends gathering together, me through Zoom and you there in the room. And I hope that maybe, just maybe, there's even one thing that I could say that as you reflect back on our time together, you would go, you know what, that's something I can take away from our time together. And maybe it helps you. Maybe you can pass it along and share it with somebody else. But I guess if I could say it this way, my name is Shell, and I'm your friend, and I just want to help you. I often say that very same phrase to our church family. And I guess to sum up my life's mission, it really is that I hope I can just help somebody else along the way. I've had a lot of people help me, and Wayne Elsey is one of those. For those of you who may not know, I released a book recently, and Wayne was very kind enough to write one of the forewords in my book. And the title of my book is It's Not Good for Leaders to Lead Alone. I would say that in reality, not only is it not good for leaders to lead alone, it's not good for people to live alone. I know there are times when we all need to separate and we just need our own space and we need our own place to hang out and kind of get away from it all. And everybody needs that. But you're leaders. You may not be the primary leader, but you're leaders in your respective departments and your respective responsibilities and your respective families and your circles of influence. And it's not good for leaders to lead alone. And so I took some things that I've picked up over the years of serving in some associate pastoral roles for about 18 years and now in a primary lead pastor role for the last 19 years, and just put those thoughts together. There are things that are certainly scripturally based from both the Old and the New Testament, or if you will, the Hebrew Bible and then the New Testament. But there are also some practical things. If you felt so inclined to pick up a copy, I think you'd find some things that might help you as well. But it's not really about me or my book. In fact, sometimes the greatest secrets in an organization are just how wonderful and how impactful and what an incredible leader that organization has. And so if you don't already know this, I hope you'll pick up copies of Wayne's books, because I'm going to tell you right now, there's some phenomenal information in here. A great leader, great organization, and I know you've already discovered that. So let's kind of jump in. Enough about the introduction. I'd like to ask you a question. Do you really realize that you're probably just one decision, one adjustment, one modification, or one tweak away from being the person that you were really designed and ultimately destined to become? Just let that sink in for a moment. Do you realize that you're one decision, one modification, one adjustment, one tweak, one something from being the person that you were really designed and I think ultimately destined to become? See, I don't know about you, but I found in my life that which that life consists of 59 years now. It's hard for me to imagine that I'm that old, but I am. And I've discovered in those 59 years that my life is not one decision that I make, but it's certainly the culmination of many, many thousands and hundreds of thousands of decisions that I've made. But I can look back and discover times when there were strategic decisions that I made that were left up to me to make. No one else got to make them. Others may have influenced them, but it was ultimately up to me to make a decision that then positioned me to become, I think, who I am now today. I'll share with you a little bit about one of those decisions. I can't see all of you real well. There's a panoramic view of you, and I can see a lot of people in the room, and then I see a couple of you up close. But I can tell that I'm probably a few years older than a few of you, and maybe a year or two younger than a couple of you. But I graduated from high school in Louisiana in 1981. And when I graduated from high school, I was awarded a 4-year academic scholarship to what is now known as the University of Louisiana at Monroe. It was called Northeast Louisiana University. I also, at the same time, had spent the summer after high school over in Lufkin, Texas, at a junior college, Angelina Junior College, playing basketball with the City League team. And the coach there offered me a partial basketball scholarship. I grew up playing basketball and I loved it. Really thought that that's what I wanted to do, was to go to that junior college on that partial basketball scholarship, continue playing ball. And I had started dating a young lady on the night that I graduated from high school. Her name's Missy. We've been married now 36 years. We dated for 4, we're engaged for 1, and now we've been married for 36. So I've started dating Missy, and I'm going over to East Texas at this junior college, playing ball during the summer and working at one of the school's sponsors, had a business there. And came home one weekend after getting this offer, and I just told my mom, I don't want to go back to school. I don't want to play basketball anymore. And they looked at me and said, what are you going to do? I said, well, I'm going to take that 4-year academic scholarship, and I want to become a mechanical engineer. I want to enroll in mechanical engineering, because I looked at some of the statistics and kind of figured that engineering was probably a fairly well-paying job once I graduated. And I had a 4-year academic scholarship, so it wasn't going to cost me anything to go to school. It was in my hometown. And so everything seemed to be lining up. So I accepted the scholarship, enrolled in school. You see, even though I loved basketball, I loved Missy more. Now, that early in our relationship, I'm not sure if we had already saying, I love you, but I can tell you, I love Missy more than I love basketball. So it was kind of an easy decision for me to come home and take that academic scholarship. I'm kind of embarrassed to admit this, but it's part of my story, and it's part of what has shaped me into who I am today. And that is this, that I spent more time shooting pool and drinking and hanging out and staying drunk than I did in going to school. And I realized that I was really struggling in every class. And so I decided that I was going to drop out of school. And I did that on the final drop date of the first semester of that first year in school. Now, I knew that when I dropped out that I wouldn't have any grades to carry over. And really, I didn't want those grades. I was failing virtually everything. Now, I go from getting a 4-year academic scholarship to only a few weeks later failing out of college because I wasn't focused. I was doing everything else pretty well, but I wasn't doing school well. So I got out at the final drop date of my first semester. What I didn't realize at the time is that that also meant that I would be forfeiting that scholarship. So now fast forward a few years, go down the road. Missy and I get married. We start having our family. We're in New Orleans now. I'm serving at a church there. And I decided to enroll in a distance education program and pick up some hours in a semester while I was there. So I did that and kind of got re-engaged with the whole college thing. But then we wound up moving a few months later to Atlanta, and it seemed like everything just kind of got put on hold. Well, the time came that I just really sensed that I wanted to go back to school and finish my undergrad degree. And I can remember sitting down, my wife and I had talked about it. I'd already gone through the process, and now I want to tell my kids. And so I'm telling our kids that Dad's going to go to college and I'm going to finish my undergrad degree. And our daughter, who was, would have been, let's see, about 7 years of age at the time, she said, Daddy, how long is it going to take you to go back to college? And I said, well, probably about 3 years. And she said, how old will you be when you graduate? And I said, well, I'm going to be 40 years old. Obviously, I'm 37 at the time. So I'm going to be 40 years old. She said, Daddy, you're going to be 40 years old when you graduate from college? And I could see the kind of the wheels turning in her head. I said, yeah, baby, I'm going to be 40 years old when I graduate from college. I said, but honey, how old will I be in 3 years if I don't go back to college? She said, well, you're going to be 40. I said, yeah. And so I'm thankful to say that I enrolled and I, in fact, did finish and I completed my undergrad when I was 40 years of age. Took a couple of years off and then I enrolled in a master's degree and I was able to finish that up, I think, by the time I was 45. And I'd share that story with you. I don't know your story, but I do know this. Some of you may be sitting around that table today, like me, in those seasons and stages of my life, thinking like I had really missed my window of opportunity. I'd really just blown it. I mean, a 4-year academic scholarship, you think about today's costs for tuition and books and all that kind of stuff. It's way more than it was back in the early 80s. But I just walked away from it all because I just couldn't be focused. I wasn't willing to pay the price. And maybe your story's kind of similar. Maybe you're thinking, man, I've missed that window. I missed that opportunity. I want to take you back to the question that I asked you earlier. Do you realize that you are one decision, one adjustment, one modification, one tweak, one something from becoming the person that you really desire to be and that you were ultimately designed to become? The truth is that none of us are ultimately stuck with where we are right now. The next decision that you make about your health, about your finances, about your relationship, about your career, can be the very pivotal decision that thrusts you into the place that you've only dreamed about being. You may be the byproduct or the product, if you will, of all the decisions you made up to this point, but you ultimately have another decision to make. It might be made today, might be made tomorrow, but there's going to come a time that you're going to make a strategic decision. You're going to adjust one part of your life. You're going to modify something about your life, your behavior, your belief system, your lifestyle, whatever. And that's going to be the hinge point at which really everything changes. And I just want to encourage you, don't get stuck in all of your yesterdays. Learn from them, but they're gone. You can't do anything about them, but you can do a lot about today. And you can do a whole lot about tomorrow to change the course maybe that you feel like your life is set on. So I know Christy got everybody a little jar of Play-Doh, and I hope you'll just hang on to it. Maybe you put it on your desk. I have mine on my desk at the office because I love this story. Maybe you've heard it. but I got a few more minutes and I just want to walk you through the history of Play-Doh. You see, Cleo McVicker back in the 30s created a product, a putty, and it was designed and sold for the purpose of removing coal soot from wallpaper. Homes were heated with coal in those days, and it produced soot, and it would just settle on the wallpaper in homes. And so he created a product, a putty, that would take the soot off the wallpaper. Well, by the 50s, heating processes had changed, and World War II had come along, and coal furnaces were converted to oil and gas, and they weren't dealing with the soot. And so the sales for his product really began to decline. But he had a sister-in-law who was a school teacher, and his sister-in-law took that putty product to school and let the kids begin to play with it. And they began to make things and shape things and form things, and they began to use that putty for a purpose for which it had not been designed. She began to tell him about how much the kids loved it, and kind of the wheels began to turn in his head. And suddenly suddenly he began to realize that if he reformulated the product, and if he made some adjustments, a modification, a decision, a tweak, if you will, then things would begin to change. Well, he died, and ultimately a family member took over the business. And it was at that point that Joseph McVicker reformulated the product, and it became known as what you're holding in your hand, or have what you have sitting in front of you, Play-Doh. It's been estimated that since Play-Doh came on the market in 1955, that more than 2 billion cans of Play-Doh have been sold. There have been all kinds of products to go along with it, accessories and other types of things that help support this product known as Play-Doh. But it didn't start as Play-Doh. It started as a putty to remove coal soot off of wallpaper. Well, we don't need that anymore. But 2 billion cans of Play-Doh now have been sold. I mentioned earlier about my book, It's Not Good for Leaders to Lead Alone. In chapter 16, and by the way, every chapter is starts with a question. In chapter 16, I asked the question, do you invest in your growth? Do you invest in your growth? With all respect to Wayne, I know he has chosen you to be a part of that team because of the value that you add to the team, and you're helping him in ways and through things that he doesn't have the ability or the time to do. That's what primary leaders do. We surround ourselves with people who are gifted and talented and capable and can do things that we either don't have the skills to do or the time to do. And you make Elsey Enterprises successful. Wayne's got to have that visionary leadership and all those things, but you're helping Wayne Elsey do what's in his heart or what's in his mind, the dream that he has. And as valuable as that is, I want to ask you the question of chapter 16, the title of chapter 16. Do you invest in your growth? You may be going to seminars and reading books and taking courses to help you be who you are there at Elsey Enterprises. And that's beneficial. But I just want to encourage you to take some time to invest in your growth. Maybe you can't go back to college like I did, really full-time with a wife and 2 kids and a full-time job. I still went back and started taking full-time courses. That might not be possible, but you can take one course. It may not be possible for you to change everything overnight, but I want to say again, you're one decision, one modification, one tweak, one adjustment away from being the person that you really were designed to be, and I think ultimately desire to be. So make that step, take that moment, and just say, you know what, I've been thinking about it, I've been talking about it, I've been considering it, I've written all the pros and cons down on a sheet of paper, I've run the math, I've looked at everything, what's it going to cost me? Because it will cost you. But I think it'll cost you more if you don't take that step. So I just want to encourage you today. My name is Shell, and I'm your friend, and I just want to help you. Do you realize that you're one decision, one modification, one tweak, one adjustment away from becoming the Play-Doh that you've always wanted to be? Hey, thanks so much. I enjoyed our time together. Love to take any questions or hear from you if you have any comments that you'd like to share.
First, thank you, Shell, so much for sharing your story and speaking with our team today. I know you have a very busy schedule, so I appreciate you speaking to us.
My pleasure.
questions for Shell?
Yes. My name's D'Angelo Andrews. How good of a pool player are you?
I was better back then than I am now. But I still think I might could take you. I'm not sure, but I'd try.
All right, we'll take that up. What's the name of
Yeah,
your
let's
church?
do that.
What's
Say
the
it
name of
again?
your church up there?
Oh, sorry. It's called Life Church, and it's in Smyrna, which is SMYRNA, Smyrna, Georgia.
Yeah, I got that part. Okay, thank you.
Mhm. So since you spoke up, first of all, tell me, how long have you been with the company? What do you do?
Can't wait to hear the answer.
Boy, set them up for that one.
Didn't I? Pastor Shell, I've probably been here the longest, about a week. I just started. I'm probably the newest tenure employee here, aren't I? Iman? Is that it?
Pretty much.
Yeah, I'm probably going to be the most outspoken as I'm looking around now. And
I think everybody's figuring that out.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to the team.
Thank you.
Yeah, man.
So Shell, I recruited him a year ago
Yeah.
at the racetrack in Daytona. Our mutual eye doctor is a professional racer. And he
Okay.
invited me to go to his pit crew. And I don't know what a pit crew is. I don't know what a screwdriver is. I don't know what a hammer is. And I went to the pit crew dressed like I was going to the country club.
Yeah.
With shorts on and, a blue shirt, whatever. And the first guy I meet is him. And we've been talking for a year about coming to the team and joining the team. And then COVID hit or something.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then we circled back about 3 months ago.
That's good. Good.
Together, so.
Awesome.
But I've never recruited anybody for a year, so it's been.
Yeah.
It was a long decision. 1 year, one adjustment, one
Yeah.
tweet, a whole bunch of tweets and decisions, but
That's right.
we finally pulled the trigger.
Sometimes you just got to jump off the edge, man, and go for it.
Yeah, that's right. That's what we did.
Yeah, good for you. Anybody else? Questions or comments? Or complaints? I'll take those too.
Certainly no complaints.
Thanks.
I don't got a question. No.
So what do you do with the company, man?
Me?
Yeah.
I just do the warehouse work. I'm sorting the shoes and bagging them up and
Okay.
shipping them out.
You don't just
Never
do
just,
that.
right, never
Big
just.
job.
Everybody's gonna get on you.
Good on you for that. Yeah.
Right?
Everybody else said it before I could say it, man. None of us ever just do something. We all do something, and usually we do a lot of somethings. So thank you for what you do. You're an integral part of the team, man. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Any other questions for Shell?
Christy, do you have a question for Shell?
No, Shell and I have been emailing for quite a long time, actually. So I'm just excited to put a face to the name.
Yeah, thank you. It's great to meet you as well, Christy. It's great to be with all of you guys. I know Christy has all my contact information. I think including my cell number. If not, Wayne does. Excuse me. If you ever have a question, a thought, or something that you feel like I can help you with, I'm here for you. So don't hesitate to reach out.
Pastor Shell, I'm going to send you something in the mail. I'll get your address. It's going to be a University of Central Florida t-shirt. Yeah.
You know, I need something when I'm cleaning the rims on my truck. I appreciate that.
That's right. I figured that. But you make sure you wear it with pride while you're cleaning that truck. Just don't use it to clean the
No, that's what he
rims.
wants.
So I'm looking at maybe an extra large. Is that about right?
2X.
Double-
Yeah.
I just want to play it safe. I'm okay.
Wipe your nose, man.
I'm good.
Good. Yeah. Well, Wayne, you mentioned earlier when we were chatting that you just got in last night. It sounds like you're staying on the road a lot.
Yeah, we went to DC for the weekend to see the kids, which was great.
Yeah.
And then we had meetings in St. Augustine the last 2 days, and I'm leaving tomorrow morning to be in Miami for meetings tomorrow.
Okay.
for a couple days, and then a dear friend of mine is actually treating Courtney and I Sunday night to the the Dolphin, Miami's, right? Miami Dolphin
Okay.
football game. Yeah.
You're gonna need to read up on that, man.
I'd rather have a Nordstrom or something.
He's
Yeah.
clearly a big sports guy.
Yeah, the
Obviously.
guy has, what do they call them, Courtney? Field seats.
Field seats.
So we're in the end zone. We went last year with him. So he's got
Okay.
nice seats, and we
Yeah,
got 42 people waiting on you at one time. And
nice,
It's
nice.
terrible.
who's the guy that come up and talked to us last time? Joe Montana or something? Or
He's 49.
Joe?
who's the guy that
Okay.
was walking?
Oh, that was Dan.
Marina.
Dan Marino, if you're in Miami.
Not even
Yeah,
close.
They're both quarterbacks.
Joe
Yeah.
guys with somebody.
They were actually all at the Dallas game together.
I think
That's where we
I
found
think
them.
this is more for Courtney than it is
Yeah.
Wayne.
Absolutely, without a doubt.
I'd rather go to the spa and get a massage or go to Nordstrom or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're excited about that, and we'll be back Monday, and no more travel till Thanksgiving, so.
Okay, good deal. Well, man, it's great to hang out with you guys for a few minutes today, and just appreciate all that you're doing, working with nonprofits and helping folks and all those things that are going on, of which I don't know all of them certainly, but just have a deep appreciation, a lot of respect for Wayne, have for many, many years, and was delighted whenever it was a few years ago that we were able to kind of connect, and look forward to even getting better acquainted, Wayne. I know we've set up 4 luncheons and 5 dinners in Orlando when we've been down there, and something's always come up, but look forward to connecting with you again soon. And if I can be of assistance to any of you personally or corporately, don't hesitate to reach out. It'd be an honor to serve.
When can we get you signed up for a shoe drive?
It's a bear.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
When can we get you signed up for a shoe drive fundraiser?
Ah, okay. I know Tom and I have traded some emails and phone conversations.
Donna's in here to scoop that lead right up.
Donna's looking for a close today, so.
Yeah.
We may need to close out with this Tom thing.
Send
Send
the
him a
shirt, no?
I'm sure it'll do it.
Give me
Yeah.
a chance, I'm working it.
Tom, you better watch out over there. You know, people.
You know what I'm quickly learning about you guys is this is a lot like hand feeding sharks. But I'm ready. Bring it on.
Shell, we appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for the great words, and I'm sure everybody got a lot out of this. So
I
thank you
did,
very much.
absolutely. Thank you.
My
Thank
pleasure.
you.
Hey, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Y'all be
Thanks,
good.
Shell.
Good deal.